and suffered and went through the grind of life, and their children will live affluent lives. This is a cycle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's affairs. But we feel that if we are suffering financially or we have certain problems, let's not talk about it. Since when did becoming poor or acknowledging and accepting the fact that you may be poor considered a crime? The poor companions came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they complained that the rich Sahaba have surpassed us. How is that? Well, they do this and we do this, they do this and we do this, but they give charity. We don't have anything to give in charity. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam honored them, for they were also human beings. We don't look down on a people because they're poor. Rather, the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam states from Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala that the poor people will enter Jannah 500 years before the rich ones. And that's 500 years of tomorrow. We could do the math later. But again, we consider our financial level to be a source of weakness, hence we try to hide it and not display it. And lastly, age. Everyone wants to be 20s until they get to 40, and they want to be 40 until they get to 80. Whenever you ask the age, it's no longer how old I am, how young I am. We'll do anything and everything to mask a number. But the Holy Quran says, the Holy Quran states, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَن نُعَمِّرْهُ نُنَكِّسْهُ فِي الْخَلْقِ. Remember, we were born dependent. We could not do anything on our own. We were helpless. If it wasn't for the cries of our throats that got to the heart of our mother, and she understood and interpreted that language, that you are facing a discomfort, you are hungry, you need a diaper change. Who translated and transmitted that knowledge? Allah did. But then came about a time when you began to walk with your feet and make decisions with your hand, which you articulated with your tongue, that you thought of in your brilliant mind. You thought, I don't need anyone. I'm independent. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in Surah Yasin, when you become old, you become senile, you become old, you are needy. Only to allow you to contemplate and realize your entire life, from the day you were born to the day you die, you are never independent. Rather, you are always dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But again, age is considered a weakness, where Allah is saying, we've created you from weakness and we've created you weak. If we look beyond the physical attributes of weakness that we have made, and we look today to a greater weakness, we will realize what is at stake. Today, the Ummah is suffering from a spiritual weakness that is plaguing our lives. It is due time we open up and talk honestly. Life has now gone beyond our control. And we don't know what to do because the affairs of our lives have taken us over. How can I get a handle over things before I surrender to the so-called autopilot of the world's ways and whims and desires? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in a verse of the Holy Quran 3 areas of spiritual weakness that you and I need to be cognizant about. That if these 3 weaknesses come inside of me, it is much more detrimental than health, poverty, and age. Does that make sense? We're considering weakness to be these 3 things. Rather, the three that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is drawing our attention towards need our time and focus. And they need it yesterday. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ لَا يَرْجُونَ لِقَاءَنَا وَرَضُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَاطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ آيَاتِنَا غَافِلُونَ. Today the Ummah is suffering from three collective diseases. It has plagued us. Number one is called ghafla, a sense of negligence. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in the Quran over and over again, وَمَا اللَّهُ بِغَافِلٍ عَمَّا تَعْمَلُونَ. Allah is not negligent of what you do. He knows what you're doing. Question should be asked, do I know what I'm doing? We are living in a society of a no-care attitude. I could do what I want to do when I want to do, and I don't care. Either I don't care because I don't care who I have to report to, or I don't care because it's not worth my time to focus on anything that could make my life meaningful. Because I'm literally being dragged by a chain in my world today. There's nothing I could do about it. Number two is the sense of complacency. We've done enough. What else does Allah want from me? If we were to tell the one that we love, the girl or the boy, I've done enough, what else do you want me to do to prove it to you? They would say, Salamun alaykum. Out you go. If you feel that whatever you've done to gain my trust or to show love in this relationship, and you have the audacity to tell me what else do you want me to do, then you could see the door. This relationship with Allah is much more intense, severe, meaningful, and our life depends on it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Holy Quran about those وَرَضُوا بِالْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَاطْمَأَنُّوا بِهَا. Those who have become happy with their worldly life. They're happy and they're complacent. They're content with it also. When you have this false sense of complacency, you will be falling into the category of those people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, وَظَنُّوا أَنَّهُمْ مَانِعَتُهُمْ حُسُونُهُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ. There were a people, they thought that whatever they had was good enough, it could protect them from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we all know we can't run from Allah. We all know death will find us even if we're in a fortified fortress filled with guards that are laced to their teeth with armor. Death will slip between all of them and come to us. But why am I negligent of my Allah today? What has happened to me? Why have I become complacent? And why have I become content with whatever I've done? Because if that's my state of affairs, brothers and sisters, the Quran says, لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا وَلَهُمْ أَعْيُنٌ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ بِهَا وَلَهُمْ آذَانٌ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا. If I'm in a time of my life where whatever I hear doesn't affect my heart, when I see something good, it doesn't make me happy. When something tragic happens within my family, it doesn't make me cry. My heart has become hard. This is a problem. Number two, if I see something that openly reminds me about Allah, and I say, I don't care, I blind myself from seeing it, I've got a problem. And if I hear continuous reminders of my Allah, and it doesn't go through the ear to the brain, rather it goes in and out, through and through, I got a problem. So the weakness I'm trying to focus on today, beyond age and poverty and health, is a spiritual weakness that is plaguing us. And what would it take for me to snap out of it? Because yes, I have become negligent. I have a sense of complacency, and I feel content with whatever I've done, that it's fine. I've done my prayers. I fasted so many months. performed my pilgrimage, gave my zakat. What else is there? Brothers and sisters, conditions are only going to intensify around us, in our world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not punishing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not terrorizing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is waiting. He is testing you and I. He's not testing anyone else but you and I. That we turn back to Him, and that we reaffirm that connection, and that we re-establish that love and understanding and a wholesome lifestyle. That we become the change Allah sent us to be, not that we change to what the world wants us to be. That we become the leaders and not the followers. For that, there are 4 simple steps that we need to take today, inshallah. First and foremost, we have to focus on ourselves once again. The ummah has lost the essence of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in surah number 5, verse number 105. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, alaykum anfusakum. The world will crumble around us, but where will I fall or where will I stand? It all goes down to how much effort I make on myself. Quran says, "O you who believe, hold firm on to yourselves. It is due time that in order for me to get beyond this is I work on myself again." And when working on ourselves, we start doing for Allah and we don't stop. Number 1, focus on self. Number 2, do and don't cease doing. Today, it's so easy for me to give up a good practice if I feel someone underestimates me, doesn't appreciate me, doesn't understand the value of what I'm doing. We are doing this only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a hadith related to us. It's recorded by Imam Bukhari, hadith number 1355, in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us the story of a man who said, "I'm going to give charity." Simple act. He said, "I'm going to give charity tonight." So he walked out and gave charity. The next morning it became the talk of the town, it became the gossip of the community that someone gave charity last night to a thief. And he said, "I thank you, O Allah, for the opportunity of giving charity to a thief. I'm going to go tonight and give charity again." Gossip has always been there. But the drive and the dedication and the commitment is something that you have to decide. So he went out that night again. He gave charity. In the morning, the tabloids, the gossip, the talk of the town was what? Someone gave charity to a prostitute. He said, "Alhamdulillah for giving charity to a prostitute. I'm going to go tonight again and give charity." And he went the 3rd night and he gave charity. And the morning, the talk of the town was, someone gave charity last night to a rich man. And he said, "I thank you, O Allah, for the charity to a thief, a prostitute, and a rich man." That night he saw a dream in which he was told that you gave charity to a thief. You taught him that he can earn without taking from people. You gave charity to a prostitute. You taught her that she can make a living without doing these things. And you gave charity to a rich man. You taught him through your action that what Allah has given him, he should also share with others. So anything that I do or you do, that we do, is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We may not see its immediate effects, but it's happening. The thing is, are we committed to doing it or are we haphazard in it? So number 1, focus on ourselves. This has to come back now. The ummah is crumbling. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling on us. When will we turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Number 2, we have to do with dedication and commitment without ceasing. Number 3, we have to believe. We have to believe in what we're doing. The soul of Islam is dead today. It's gone. I don't feel motivated to do anything. We see opportunities arise around us to give sadaqah, to do some good, to make a change. But you know what? I don't need to do it. Someone else will do it. Why has the spirit of Islam fallen dead today? What has happened to it? What has happened to that commitment and belief that Imam Ahmad has recorded from Suhaib radiallahu ta'ala, that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that before your time, and this story is long and I'll summarize it, there was a king and he had a sorcerer. We know this story. The sorcerer was dying. He asked the king, send to me a bright young lad who I can teach this sorcery and I can incorporate my knowledge into him before I die. So he used to go to the sorcerer every day and learn about magic. It is said that on his way to and back home from the palace, he would always meet a man on the street. And the man would teach him about Allah. One day this beast was in the middle of the road, preventing the people from passing. And he said, I'm going to test my faith today. I ask you, and I pause here, if I was told to test my connection with Allah, what can I get from that? What can I get from that? He picked up a stone and said, oh Allah, if the knowledge that the man is teaching me is the truth, remove this beast from the road. He threw it, the beast was gone. He became the talk of the town. When the ministers of the king found out, one said, I'm blind, use your magic and bring back my sight. He said, I don't do nothing. Allah does everything. Who is Allah? He is my Lord and your Lord. He brought faith, he made dua, his sight returned. When he was in front of the king the next day, the king said, you got your sight back? He goes, yeah, that child brought it for me. Man, that magic is really working for him. Call him to me. So he said, well, looks like things are really progressing here. He goes, no, I'm not doing anything, Allah is doing everything. Long story short, he killed that man, his minister. He then found out about the teacher who was teaching the child and he killed him. The hadith says he made 2 pieces out of that person. And then he said to the child, I'm going to put you in a position where the world will remember never to mess with me. He sent a chunk of his army. They said, take him to the top of the mountain and throw him off. When he got to the top, armies are laced with their weaponry. He said, Allahumma kfini bihim. Allahumma kfini bihim. If I said to my Allah today, oh Allah, you suffice for me against them. Simple, one dua. Oh Allah, you suffice for me against them. Will my Allah respond to me? But there's a difference between the words and the actions. What this child did is what he believed, what he knew is what he lived. And it said the mountain shook, they all died. He came back to the king. He said, believe in Allah. He sent his army with him out to the ocean, throw him over. When he got there in the middle of the ocean, he said the same dua, oh Allah, suffice for me. And the boat toppled, they all drowned it. He came back to the king. And he said to the king, you want to kill me, right? I'll tell you how to kill me. Gather the entire community. Gather the entire community and take my arrow and my bow and say, in the name of this child's Allah, I am killing him. So the king did it. And once the king did it, the child got hit in the temple and the child died. And upon dying, the whole community said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. They all brought faith on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because his actions continued forward. I pause here and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to revive the soul of our Islam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for our sense of complacency and negligence and contentment, and allow us to strive harder and more rigorous so that we can gain that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the entire creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could restore that connection with Him. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Brothers and sisters, I want you to turn your attention now to Surah number 85. The name of this king, Dhun-Nas, Zuhra was his name. It is said that he had commanded then for a fire to be lit, for a ditch to be dug, and for a fire to be lit. These were the people of Himyar, the people of Yemen. And the Quran displays this entire story. وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْبُرُوجِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْمَوْعُودِ وَشَاهِدٍ وَمَشْهُودٍ قُتِلَ أَصْحَابُ الْأُخْدُودِ النَّارِ ذَاتِ الْوَقُودِ. Surah number 85. When you go home tonight, read it. In one morning, he killed 20,000 of them. And when he was killing them, he was giving them the option: renounce your faith and I'll spare you. It is written in the books of tafsir that there was a mother who had just given birth and her baby was a suckling baby. At that time she was hesitant, and the baby spoke, "Isbiri ya ummi fa innaki ala al-haq." Oh my mother, be patient, move forward, you're on the truth. My dear brothers and sisters, the ummah is being tested. The ummah is being shaken. The ummah is being cut into pieces only because of the fact of what they profess and what they believe, like our brothers and sisters in Burma. Quran is reliving itself in our time. The question is, why isn't this shaking me? Why isn't this changing me? For that, and these 4 steps that we presented today, our solution is in number 4. Let us go back to the Holy Quran. Let us go back to at least touching the Quran every day. Let us go back to at least opening the Quran for 2 minutes, 120 seconds. Open the Quran and look at it. For there are 3 things in our Islam that by looking at it alone you get reward. Number 1 is your parents. Number 2 is the Kaaba. And number 3 is the Quran. Let us open these Qurans that have gained dust in our shelves in our masjid every day we come here, and rejuvenate our souls and connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because I remind you that the Quran will say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in Surah number 25, verse number 30, on the day of judgment, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam will say, وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّي إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. Oh my Allah, my people had discarded the Quran. They had disconnected from the Quran. May Allah not make us or our children or our parents from amongst them. May Allah protect us from those people who discarded the Quran, who were negligent of the Quran, and they lost in this world and they lost in the next. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, in order for us to gain, وَجَاهَدُوا بِأَمْوَالِكُمْ وَأَنفُسِكُمْ. When Allah says strive and make effort, you need to make physical effort as you make monetary effort. Yes, we are doing great things with our money and our resources. We have to do equal effort with our body. We send salutations upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who not just instructed us or informed us, but rather he lived it for us and showed that it is possible for us to live it too. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَلَائِكَتَهُ يُصَلُّونَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا اللهم فصل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا، اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في ديننا ودنيانا وآخرتنا. نسألك اللهم من الخير كله عاجله وآجله ونعوذ بك اللهم من الشر كله عاجله وآجله. اللهم اشف مرضانا وعاف مبتلانا وارحم موتانا يا رب العالمين. آمين يا رب العالمين، آمين يا رب العالمين، آمين يا رب العالمين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. A few announcements, inshallah. First off, we have a community member, Sister Farhina. Her father passed away. We'll make a dua for her. Allahumma ighfir lahu warhamhu wa'afihi wa'afu anhu wa akrim nuzulahu wa wasi' madkhalah. May Allah Ta'ala make his grave a garden among the gardens of paradise. Ameen. This Sunday, inshallah,